Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, like everything I say today will be like, this is what I'm practicing. I think there's two ways America approaches work. One of those ways I think is this idea of like work is placed to get something. And then there's this aspect of work where it's like work gives us identity. For a Christian, I think there's a third option. I think there's a third option for everyone. That third option is what I would say is working for your neighbor. Let me make you a priority before I make the business deal a priority.
What role would you say that social media has played in your business as a photographer?
I hate social media after I just said all that.
Brand is an interesting thing that you touched on. When you say your brand's not queer, what's that mean? Does that mean your aesthetic isn't cohesive?
If it's part of your brand to love and serve people, like do it everywhere. Do it everywhere. Do it in your captions. Do it in your emails. Do it when you talk about them. I've made the mistake of talking bad about people, and it's horrible.
Thank you so much for joining me, Holden.
Yeah.
For those people that might not know who you are, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Harrisonburg, Virginia. I've been here my whole life. I thought for a while I wanted to leave. You know, the dream as a younger kid is like to go to California, right?
I was about to ask, where'd you want to go?
Yeah. Go to California, but I think some of my friends that went were either in prison or homeless, so I'm glad I didn't go. But yeah, I'm a photographer locally. I have an event rental company and then another sales job as well.
You started talking about this. You said that when you started, it was all about the money, and the focus was just to run a business, make some money, and that was kind of the goal going into it. And throughout your experience, your faith, everything, your perspective has just shifted, and now it's a little more focused on people. Could you just tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, like it goes like everything I say today will be like, this is what I'm practicing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think there's moments when I'm still like, all right, chasing the money. Right. And so, yeah, I think that's not a non-existent thing, but I think my perception of work has changed. So I think, if I was to describe it, I think there's two ways America approaches work. And this is kind of what we're all used to. I grew up with this. And one of those ways I think is this idea of work for, like work is placed to get something, right? So I go to work so I can have a place to stay. I go to work so I can eat. I go to work so I can party, or whatever it is that we work for to make a paycheck to pay for. Mm-hmm. And then there's this aspect of work where it's like work gives us identity, right? Mm-hmm. And so people will work their lives away from this perspective. And so they work for the next position or the next sale or the next great job.
Their whole identity is tied up in that work.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how like in Europe, it's so much less like who you are is less about your job. It's more about like your personality. But here it's like when you first meet someone, the first thing you ask them, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
That's the whole conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think for a Christian, I think there's a third option. I think there's a third option for everyone. Mm-hmm. That third option is what I would say is working for your neighbor. And so my way of approaching work is probably that third option where it's like, hey, I think everything we do in our job is designed for our neighbor or for the community. And so when you think of that, it's like, all right, so your neighbor needs a house painted, right? Mm-hmm. Your neighbor needs photos done. Your neighbor has an event that needs to be hosted. Your neighbor has a broken bone that needs to be fixed. Like all these jobs we do really aren't for us, they're for others. And I think America's got that twisted where it's this idea where like, hey, work is for me. It's for me to get my identity, or it's for me to get what I want. Mm-hmm. And my perception, I guess, has just been like, hey, I think we have it backwards. I think work's for others. And so when you look at scripture, one of the things that stands out to me is one of the scripture says that if you want to fulfill the whole law, love your neighbor. So if you want to do everything right, God says, just love your neighbor.
Boil it down to just like love the person next to you.
And so I think one of the primary ways we can do that is our vocation. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's the only way, but I think it's a really easy and solid way to fulfill that as a Christian. So yeah, my way of approaching work now is, okay, what does this do for others? And how does this bless them? And how can I change them? And then how that plays out, I think we'll get into, but I think that's kind of my perception on work now.
I see. One thing that I really like that my church always says is you should praise God through your vocation, and recreation. So like in all different parts of your life, you should be serving God or just like showing who he is. And that's something that really stuck out to me. And I think work is one of those places where it can be hard to do sometimes because it feels like there's a lot of other, I guess if you work for yourself, it seems like it might be a little bit easier. But if you're working at a place where that stuff's kind of taboo to talk about in a way, that can be a little bit tougher. But I think it's just as important.
Yeah, 100%. And when I say like as a Christian too, like I don't think that means evangelize your coworkers, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's like, hey, do you know Jesus? You know, like do you know where you're gonna go when you die? You know, I don't think it looks like that. I think it's just really the simple approach of how can I make this beautiful for you, whatever I'm doing. Like how can I put everything in this for the benefit of you?
Yeah. And beauty is something that you talked a lot about. And one of the quotes that you said that really stuck out to me was, we live in a world where people don't think they're beautiful. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that quote. And I guess my question is, how do you help people see that they're beautiful?
Yeah.
And the way you interact with them at work and specifically in what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so the quote is, I think we live in a culture where people struggle with feeling beautiful. And I think that's true. I mean, I know I very much feel that. I think the most confident people feel that. I think it's just a product of the world. And so with photography, one of the ways I feel like I can do that or kind of combat that is just like spend time with my clients. And so some of the things I do is I'll ask them, like, hey, what are your love languages? What do you love to do together? What do you not like about each other, right? What do you like about each other? And then it just kind of develops this like sense of, oh, this is who you are, right? And so if I can figure out who someone is, and I can kind of get a read on their personality, their insecurities, the things they're confident in. And so when I photograph them, I try to keep those things in mind, right? So for example, I had a woman that I was photographing her wedding, and I knew one of her love languages was acts of service. That was one of the things she did, right? And there's this photo of her, and it's not a super epic photo, but she's tying the shoes of all the groomsmen, the light's coming in through the window, and it's really pretty. But I know that represented her. Like that was her. And so I knew when her husband saw this, he would be like, babe, why are you tying the groomsmen's shoes? Like this is your wedding day. But at the same time, he'd be like, but babe, that's so you, right? Like that's so you. And so that feels so simple, right? But the hope is that when you see a photo of yourself, you don't see what you hate. You see the things that you love, and I think are the ways that God created you. So if you're someone who just naturally serves people, I want to reflect that in your photos. If you're someone who is like, hey, I feel like touch is my love language. Like we're going to be close, we're going to be intimate. And so that's my approach to that. I think we're tempted to look at photos of ourselves, good ones, and say, wow, I wish I looked like that all the time, right? And I just think that's such a lie. Like, no, that's what you look like. Like, that's the truth, right? And so as a photographer, I get to tell the truth and just give somebody, maybe it's a small moment, right? Maybe it's a small moment on their wedding day or a family session or whatever it is. It's a small moment, but it's one moment where they can look at something and maybe be reminded of what's true about them. And I think that they're beautiful, that they're worthy. And so when they get that one smile, I think it's enough to just maybe change their heart or their perspective on their moment in their life.
Yeah. And there's this quote that I read a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it was on Tumblr. I saw it. And it was like, you only see yourself 2 times. It's whenever you look at yourself in the mirror and whenever you see a photo. But you never see the way that you look like 95% of the time. And just like the way that your eyes light up when you see something beautiful, like you don't get that when you look in the mirror or whenever you're, like what everyone else sees, most of the time you're not going to see that yourself. I think that's one of the magical things about photography is it can capture like a perfect moment in time. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's so sweet when somebody sends, like when I get like a review or something like, hey, these are beautiful, as if it's not them. Right? It's like, no, you're beautiful. Like this is how amazing this is, you know?
It's so sad that people don't believe that.
I know. And I get it. Like Honestly, I do. I get it. I think, I mean, I've lived most of my life feeling that way, right? Where it's just like, it's just not enough. Like everything you look at in yourself, you're like, oh, I wish this was different. Like, wish I was taller, or my smile wasn't like this, or whatever. Like everyone has those insecurities. It's not crazy. Just no one talks about it. Right. So my hope is that I can kind of poke some holes in that veil that I think everyone wears and shine a little bit of light into what's true.
You have to bear with me. I lost my train of thought.
You're good. You're good. Do you have your notes?
I do, yeah.
You
They're on my phone. I'll pull them out.
That's easier.
For sure. So what was it about photography that kind of like really drew you to it in the beginning? Or like at what point did you decide, like, hey, I think I can make this into a business?
Yeah. It's funny. So we got our family photos, we won a photo shoot. My wife and I, we weren't married yet, but we won a photo shoot from a photographer in Pennsylvania. And that's where my wife was living at the time when we met. And Allie and Paul is their name. They still photograph weddings. They do amazing work. And so we went and got our engagement photos done, a couple session done. And I fell in love with just how they made me feel. I was like, these people are amazing, right? And then so I saw the photos that they took of us, and I'm like, man, like that was so fun. Like we spent time with them. We went and got drinks with them. We got dinner with them. It was more than just a photo shoot, right? It was like
connection.
We became friends, yeah. And so after that, with my visionary personality, my wife and I, we were getting married and renovating a house. And I was like, hey, why don't we add to it? And why don't we start a business too, you know? And we did. So we started a photography business. And I'd always been into photos a little bit. Like it wasn't like crazy new. But I was like, I think we could do something with this. I love the way they made me feel. And if I could make people feel like that, that would be awesome, you know? And so I just jumped in, and I think it was one of those hidden talents that I didn't know I had, but I always had a sort of an interest in it. And so before I got saved, I don't think I knew who I was. Like, honestly, like I feel like my whole life was this fight for validation. So when I got saved, like I don't think I really knew what I liked. And so maybe this had lied there before, and I just didn't know it existed until I had some like clear air to look through, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, it's not some crazy start. It was just more like, hey, I felt good when these people hung out with us, and that sounds fun to me.
When you ask yourself, who would miss out if I didn't do what I do, what names or faces come to your mind?
Yeah, so I heard this idea from a pastor, Aubrey Spears. He used to be the pastor down here at Incarnation, but he moved to Texas. And he taught a beautiful series on work. What does it mean to work? And it really changed my life. And one of the things he had said is that question. He said, who would suffer if you didn't show up? And it's not like a prideful question, right? It's not that. I think it's more of the question of if you're doing work well, right, for your neighbor, in a sense, for the community, who would suffer if you didn't show up? And so when I ask myself that question, I think I'm asking this out of the sense of, if I'm trying to love people well, and I feel like that's what I'm trying to do, in light of what we kind of already said, who might miss out on finding their identity? Who might miss out on seeing that they're actually more beautiful than what they say? And so will another photographer come in and do better? They might, yeah. But like I think work is outside of just what we do or what we produce. I think it's how we interact with our customers as well. And so that's what I think about when I'm thinking like, all right, who would miss out? And if you're thinking from a kingdom perspective, I think that's really important. If let's say you're not a Christian, I think that's still really important because you're serving your community, right? So take Christianity out of it. Let's just say like, who's going to suffer in your community? And if your community suffers, I think you suffer too. And so who would miss out? I think everyone misses out if you don't show up. And I think the reason why that is because we all have a unique perspective on things, a unique personality, a unique way of loving, of serving, of giving. And I think we're designed for each other. I don't think we're designed to be, I don't think life is meant to be just independent. And I think when we live that way, which America does, we have smaller tables, bigger fences, and we can barely lend out a tool, right? So like we live that way, and I think the community suffers because of that. And so that's the way I think about that is, okay, like, am I just am I just showing up because I have to, or am I leaving because it's hard? And I think there's more of an issue there than just you don't have a job. I think your community loses something that they ultimately need, which is you.
What is it about you that resonates so strong with this concept of beauty? Because when we were talking about your backyard events company, you said that you believe everyone deserves to have a beautiful event.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how deep to go here. I think personally, most of my life, I think I've strived to fit into whatever group I'm around. And so, yeah, I think, so there's this moment, and this is actually not that long ago, but it's many moments that, like the one I'm about to share, that shaped this kind of desire. I sat with my wife in our living room one evening and didn't plan on sharing this with her. But it was a really dark moment from my past. One of the darkest moments I'd probably ever walked through in my past, that made me feel a lot of shame and a lot of just question and struggle. And I'd pushed it off for a long time, telling her about it. And it was before I ever met her. And it was interesting because when I told her about it, I remember she grabbed me and she just held me. And so sorry,
it's okay, but you're about to make me cry too.
No, she grabbed me and she held me and she just said, "I'm just so sorry." Right? She said, "I love you so much." And when I look back at that moment, the most beautiful thing about that moment was that I just felt I felt seen. Right? It was this moment where I was like, everything that I was feeling almost just died because like someone was there and saw me and didn't care about fixing it, didn't care about making anything better. Just wanted you to know, like, I'm sorry and I love you. And it's those moments that I've had a lot of, unfortunately, more than some and less than a lot. Right. But I've had enough of them to where I was like, how many other people have these same moments where they're just desperate to be seen, right? Or how many people are just hiding what's true and beautiful about them because they think something else is beautiful. And so when I think of my approach to photography, when I think of my approach to the backyard event company, it really is like, it kind of comes from that. It's just this, I don't know why, but it's just this natural desire for me to just want people to like, hey, how can I make a small dent in your life that just confirms your beauty, confirms that you're seen, confirms that you're loved? And through more of doing that, I'm like, oh, I think this is how work is supposed to be, right? Like, I'm supposed to bless you. I'm supposed to like give all my time to you. Like that's what work is for. That's how the community flourishes, is by giving all. And I just know from experience that when people give me their all, like, doesn't it make you feel good? Like when somebody comes over and let's say paints your house and does like extra and makes it so beautiful, you step in, you feel like, oh, this feels like home finally. You made my vision come to life. And then maybe they just sit down like, hey, tell me more about your vision. Like, what do you guys plan to do in this house? And then you leave and you're like, why did I like that person so much? I don't think it had necessarily anything to do with how cool the person was. I think it had everything to do with that they listened to you, they saw you. It made you feel, I don't know, safe, loved, valued. And so I think I have a lot of those events that maybe shape my perspective on my approach to photography, where I'm just like, hey, is it possible to make people be seen through photos?
So it started out with photography. How did that turn into you starting an event company?
Yeah. Well, after about 10 years of photography, I had noticed that the wedding business didn't have the same views I did.
Right. Yeah, they're out there making money.
Yeah, and that's not bad. Like,
no, it's not. No. But a lot of times it's like it's a stressful time in people's lives. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad because there's a lot of people that do really big things and really beautiful things. I think it's great. But I had noticed that a lot of the wedding industry had this same kind of pattern of how can we give the least and expect the most? Like, how can we charge the most and how can we buy the cheapest stuff? Or how can we just like put it all on the client? Like, it's not about us anymore. Or it's not about the client anymore. It's about us making money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started this idea. I was like, all right, well, maybe I should, do a backyard wedding venue. And I was like, maybe I'll turn my house into a wedding venue. This visionary thing coming out. And
I bet Jesse loved that.
yeah, she was actually on board with it. She wanted it to make sense first,
Yeah.
And thankfully, she supported my lack of forward thinking, and just having this big dream. And so, but yeah, I think it started with this idea of I'm gonna start a wedding venue in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, all right, no, we'll sell the house, make the house part of it. I'm like, no, and I kept going back and forth. And then it was like, all right, people probably already have a spot,
mm-hmm.
Or know somebody that does. And so I'm going to start an event rental company. And I'm still strategizing on my approach to it. But the idea was that, okay, the problem with the wedding industry is they're giving the least, expecting the most. And then, so you have this whole, I think, two classes that miss out on beautiful things, right? So if you go to a normal low-cost wedding where people just maybe don't spend that much money on it because they don't want to or they can't, and it doesn't look bad, but it's your typical white chair, right? It's your typical table, and then that's about it, right? Because they've either spent all the money on the venue that they didn't really love, or it's in their backyard and, they spent money on other things that they felt were necessary and they had to, right? But so I'm like, okay, well, is there a way that I could change that? And I'm like, there is. I can spend too much money on stuff and then offer it at a price that I think everyone can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that with everything I rent, but there's some key things where I'm like, hey, what's going to change the way people feel at a wedding? Well, I think chairs do, and I think sitting around a table does. I think something really special happens around a table. And so I love the idea of sitting at a table where things are beautiful. You just feel different. Like, it's like going to a nice restaurant versus a booth, right?
Yeah.
Like, you sit up for some reason, right? You're like, you start talking, certain words you don't use,
Sophisticated.
Yeah. And so if I could help create that for people that maybe wouldn't have the opportunity for it, I think that blesses them, right? And I think it blesses the people that come, because people why do people want to spend a lot of money on a wedding? Like, what's the point?
To leave a good impression, probably.
Yeah, to leave a good impression. And so if you go a little bit deeper, I think one of the things that is underneath even leaving a good impression is, back to our original conversation, is they want to be seen.
Yeah.
They want this idea where, like, hey, when people go to my wedding, I want them to see that I'm like important, right? Mm-hmm. And that I'm worthy and that I can spend money on this. So, like, notice me, look at me. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing if that's all you want. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, if I can give you something you desire, I want to do that, right? In a sense that if it makes you feel more beautiful. And I think weddings are different because it's the most important day of your life, right? And it's a celebration. And I think God would celebrate big. Mm-hmm. I think he would celebrate small too. But if I can play a part in just giving people beautiful things at a cost that they think is impossible, why wouldn't I? I was listening to Francis Chan. Used to be a pretty big mega church pastor. Do you know who he is?
Yeah.
So he left the mega church. Now he does like house church, right? But I was listening to a podcast, and he said something that was so interesting to me. I never knew this about him, but he said when they were leading the mega church, I mean, he's huge, right? Like, he could have made so much money. And I thought he was making a lot of money, He's a really amazing author. He's made so many books. And he said, we got paid $36,000 a year. And he said, and people were like, but why? He's like, well, we just felt like that was enough. Like, we didn't really need more, so we didn't really take more. And I'm not there yet, right?
That's so rare.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not there. If I was like to speak truth, I want to make more than $36,000. But it inspired me to ask this question: is my business plan around, does this make a lot of money, or does this bless a lot of people?
Mm.
And if it doesn't make as much money because I have to bless more, am I okay with that? And what does that look like? And so I've been just wrestling that question out. And I don't know that I sit on one side or the other completely. I think I'm still kind of in that place where I'm like, but a lot of like money does make things easier in a sense. Like it's not a bad thing. I don't think having a lot of money is bad at all. But what is your motive? And I would love for my motive to be at least quicker to, I want to bless a lot of people. And so that's kind of what I've been working towards on the side of like the event company and the photography company. And even like, and I don't want to be like, just coming back to our conversation before we started, like this idea of like, I'm not a Christian worker, right? We're just people who work that happen to be Christians. And I think even if you don't have the kingdom in mind, I think you should. And I think you're missing out if you don't. But if you don't, like it's in our DNA to love people, right? And to serve people. So like blessing people is, I've never met anybody who's like, yeah, I blessed this person and now I regret it.
Yeah.
It's like, there's always that part of them that's like, that felt really good. Right.
And I think whenever you do bless people, that is something that makes them make a remark about you. And that's something that Seth Godin said when we talked previously. In order to be remarkable, you have to do something that's worth making a remark about.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ways that you can actually do that is by truly blessing people.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you in your business? I know that when it comes to having a business and growing it, being remarkable or having other people talk to you can be like the best marketing strategy there is.
Yeah.
What have you done in your business that's just really make you stand out?
Yeah. So when it first started, I think my approach was, I think there's a difference between marketing and advertising, right? I think marketing is really how your business runs in a sense. Advertising is how you talk about it. And so like advertising, when I first started this, I used to go to weddings, I'd photograph weddings, and there'd be couples there. And I would like purposely try to find the ones that weren't married. Like I'd look for their rings. I'm like, they don't have a ring. And so I would photograph them. And I even had like this little tap thing on my phone that I would like put before them. I'm like, hey, go follow me. I'll send you guys this photo tonight. And I'd be like, hey, but don't tell the bride because she'll be upset if I send these to you first, And they were like, oh, for real? And I was like, yeah, just shoot me a follow. And they did. And this would turn into clients, right? They're like, hey, when they got married, they'd be like, oh, remember that one dude that photographed us? Like, send us the photo. And then they would call me. And it was great. Like, that was a really great strategy, I think. But it was really just about getting more business, right? And again, I don't think that's bad. I think that's half the job. And that was kind of my strategy for the longest time, was just like, okay, how can I get in front of more people? How can more people notice me? How can I convince more people that I'm the best option? And so I think that's a dangerous road for some people because it's easy to take advantage of people, right? Because that's your first thought. You're like, okay, how can I take advantage of this person in a sense of how can I convince them that I'm the best? Like it almost takes them out of it. Like I would now ask, how can I show them that this is exactly what they want, right? And so some people will lie, like, hey, like I'll do this, and that, like, or they'll say like, hey, like, and I've done this where I'm like, hey, I'm about to book out, like
create urgency.
Yeah. And I don't think that's bad, but I think if we're going to think about how to run a business well, is urgency the only way? I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's not.
And so I don't think it's a bad strategy. And I think there naturally comes urgency when your business runs well.
Right. When you're so in demand that you really can't service everyone.
Exactly. And so, so that was my first start. And then as I started just rethinking my business approach, I kind of stopped. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and I'm going to do something that really doesn't have anything to do with my work. I'm just going to go and I'm going to spend time with my clients. I'm just going to listen to them. I'm going to love on them. I'm going to be curious about what this photo shoot means to them or what this event means to them. And so I sat with a client once and she's like, hey, we're getting pregnant, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do a maternity shoot. I said, great, let's do it. Send me some stuff about you guys, and we'll jump on a call and we'll talk. Long story short, come to find out that they had been trying for years. I mean, so long, and just couldn't. And no real reason why. And they were getting older, and then they got pregnant, and they had their baby, and then they asked me to photograph the baby when the baby got here. And so the first thing I did was came in and acted like they were the most important people in the room, because they are. Like, this is their story. Like, when I leave, like these are the photos they're going to remember from this crazy miracle that happened, right? And so, but the crazy thing about that was, to me, that wasn't even my point of being there. It really was, but I just stayed after. I'm like, hey, tell me about what this was like for you guys. Like, why couldn't you get pregnant? You know, I asked those personal questions. And so I just said, tell me about that. What's that like for you? How was that? How was it when you finally realized you were pregnant? How was it going through the pregnancy? Was that scary? Did you think you were going to lose it? You know, like how what does that look like? How was your marriage? You know, and it left with me sitting in this room crying with this couple, right? And it was just this beautiful moment, right? And so I got to pray with them, and I left, and so now like they're. And I don't do this to get business. I want to be clear on that. I do this. How you do business. I do this because I want to do my work well. And if I'm interacting with people, this is part of the interaction, right? And so I think naturally, business came to me through photos, not because my work is so amazing. There's better photographers out there, but because people really felt like, hey, this person actually cares. Like, when he shows up, he's going to be interested in me. And when he takes photos, like, he's thinking about me. He's not going to just take shortcuts. He's not going to leave early, you know. And so I think people naturally felt that when I made this transition, which I think benefited the business.
By listening, you're able to create this kind of intimacy and this deeper connection with your clients. Can you talk a little bit more about intimacy and how that's viewed in the world? Yeah.
So I think especially in the photo world, there's a lot of people think of intimacy. I think just in general, like they think of sex, right? So there's this sexual energy that they think about. And I think with intimacy, there's more than just sexual intimacy. There's just emotional intimacy. And so there's intimacy with you and a friend. There's intimacy with you and a spouse. And my hope through photography is that I can create that type of intimacy that doesn't have to be sexual, right? And so one of the ways I can do that is through the way I kind of interact with my clients as far as posing goes, but also just like how I interact with them as humans. Like, if you're a human, you're real, right? Yeah. Like you're a real person, like with real emotions and feelings, and you have a life that
experiences.
Yeah. And so I want to treat you that way. I don't want to rush through a meeting, right? Like, I don't want to just like say, hey, you got 30 minutes and then this call's over and I'm charging you extra. Or I don't want to get to the end of a wedding night and be like, hey, you had me for 6 hours and it's 6:15, so I'm going to send you a bill. I kind of want to stay an extra hour just because it would bless you. That excites me, you know? And so I think it's really hard to love people that well when you don't have that kind of intimacy built in. And so I've just always made it a priority to say, you know what, let me make you a priority before I make the business deal a priority. And so just let me know you as a person. I had this really beautiful moment with the event rental company where this girl calls me and she goes, hey, we want to rent from your company. We want to rent all this stuff. She said, we're having about 15 people. And so in my mind, I'm immediately thinking and interested, well, why 15 people? Is this an elopement? You know, what is it? And I said, oh, like, are you doing 15 people because of money or you just want to keep it small? Like, tell me about that. She's like, well, a little bit of both. And she said, she named the people that were coming. She said, my dad won't be there, but you know, these people are coming. And so at the moment, I felt the Spirit say, ask her about her dad. And so I'm already past the business deal. I'm not even thinking about that anymore. And I'm like, can I ask you a personal question? She goes, yeah, sure. And I said, I don't know this one. I'm just talking to her on the phone. And I'm like, how do you feel about your dad not coming? Right? And she's like, I've never been asked that. I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, it's your wedding. Yeah. And like, somebody should be asking you that, you know? And she began to tell me part of the story was that her dad had different political views. Then I think her dad paid for her sister's wedding. And because of those reasons that he's not coming to the wedding.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I'm just like, my heart was hurting so much. And so a typical business deal would go like this. Wow, that's really hard. I really hope he comes. So I'll send over a contract. We'll follow up in a week. Let me know what you think. Bye. Not bad, right? You asked the question.
Right.
It's not a bad thing. I don't think that's bad. But I'm more interested in that conversation. So I'm like, tell me about how it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so this led to about a 45-minute conversation on the phone with this woman. And I got more out of her. She happened to be a semi-new Christian. And I said, let me just pray for you. And I said, I just want to encourage you in one thing. I think the most beautiful thing about Jesus is that he's everywhere. He's never not somewhere. And so I would encourage you just pray and ask the Lord where he might be on your wedding day, because he's going to be there. And I think where he's going to be is going to be amazing. He's not going to be sitting, I don't think. I don't think he's going to be waiting for it to be over. I think he's going to be somewhere. It's going to be specific. And it's going to be beautiful to you. So go ask him. And she said, okay, yeah, sure. I get off the phone, and I felt like the Lord was like, hey, give her all this stuff for free. And I'm like, I was like,
Lord's trying to bankrupt you.
I know. And I was like, okay, cool. That's great. We'll do that. But it was like a couple $1,000s worth of stuff I still needed to buy. Right. And I was like, so I guess you're going to figure that out, Lord. And I told my wife about it, and she's like, I'm totally on board with that. Just maybe pray about it just for a couple more days, which is wise, because usually I just jump on it, and sometimes that's not good. And so I took a couple days, prayed about it, and I got confirmation through a couple things. And I called her back, and I haven't met her fiance yet. And I said, hey, do you have a quick minute? And she said, yeah. My fiance's with me. So I said, great, perfect timing. And I said, I want you to be happy about this, but I don't want you to thank me, because it has nothing to do with me. It was totally the Lord. I want to let you know, I want to give you the rentals all for free. And she just starts to break down crying, right? So couldn't even talk. And I just let her cry for a little bit. And she kept trying to speak, and every sentence she tried to say kept on, she kept stumbling. So she handed the phone to her husband, or her fiance at the time. It was like, can you talk? And he tried to talk, and he kept crying. And I said, this is the best news I've ever had. I'm like, this makes it so worth it that it blesses you like this. Mm-hmm. And I said, so I'm going to work it all up. We're going to get it all. Let me know exactly what you want, and we'll drop it off, and it's going to be beautiful. And she said, I can't thank you enough. And so I get off the phone and start strategizing how I was going to buy the rest of this stuff, right? And then a couple weeks later, I get a text from her. She goes, hey, Holden, just wanted to let you know. I feel like I need to let you know. My dad reached out and said, what does this wedding mean to you? And she's like, well, we're going before the Lord. We take that very serious. And, so she wrote up a thing and wrote it to her dad and sent an Evite to him. And she's like, I sent him an Evite, but he opened it, but he never responded. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like that really hurts my heart for you. I said, I think it's still going to be a really beautiful day. And she said, but the next day he messaged me and said, I just want to let you know I bought a ticket and I'll be there.
Wow.
And I'm sitting this, I'm like, all right, Lord, so what did you do? Like, you have this girl who felt missing, like wasn't seen. Her sister was, but she was missed. Not she didn't feel loved. She couldn't celebrate the way she wanted to. Now she's like going through all these money things to make sure she can have something beautiful, right? And then I show up somehow, newer business. It's not like I had SEO built in the game, right? And the Lord puts on my heart to give to her for free. And I'm like thinking about this, I'm like, she doesn't have a dad to pay for this stuff, but she has a Father in heaven who does. He's got the money to pay for the stuff. And so her dad, her like heavenly Father, does pay for the wedding, right? Pays for it. And not only that, but somehow convinces her earthly father to come to the wedding, right? And she gets everything for free. And I'm just like, did I spend money that I didn't necessarily have yet? Yes. Did it make it harder on me? Yes. Did her life change radically? I think so. And so when you ask me the question, what's more worth it? I would almost sign up for that. I would rather hear someone cry because they're so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather someone get something beautiful because they didn't think they could get it. And so I think when it comes down to intimacy, back to your original question, is that's the type of intimacy I want my job to entail.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think every job requires that. I don't want to say that. I don't think every person should be asking their clients about their fathers, right?
But some do.
But some do. And so for me, it is that. I really feel like that's what the Lord's put on my heart to do in my work. I think for others, you have just as powerful idea that might be different. I think you need to ask, what is that? I think you need to think about it. Like, what does a day-to-day interaction look like with your clients? And how can you make it in a way that they just feel like overly valued? Like they should feel like the most important person in the world. And if they don't, I think there's more work to be done. Yeah. I think there's more of intimacy to be found.
Okay, so this episode is brought to you by the Friendly City Studio. That's the studio that we're in right now. Look, I know how hard it can be to create content if you have to spend so much time doing it. And I found that one of the easiest ways to do it is in a podcast setting. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or you just want to interview a guest, or you just need help making content, and you think that this might be the right fit for you, reach out to me and let's talk. I'd love to help you out. And without any further ado, let's get back to the episode.
What advice would you give to someone that's just starting out and that wants to have the kind of impact that you describe, but hasn't quite figured out their business yet?
Yeah. Seth, is it Godin? Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, I think it's Godin.
Yeah, we're going to go with it. Seth, we're sorry if it's not. He said something really interesting to me. He gave this illustration of theft powder, and it's more like a liquid, but basically if you touch it and you touch anything, it spreads everywhere, right? And he said if you find a pool and you drop a teaspoon in a pool, it'll turn the whole pool purple. That's how powerful this stuff is, right? Mm-hmm. He said, but if you drop it in the ocean, no one will ever know it existed. And his point was that if you start a business or you have a business that you're involved in, he said, find the smallest audience possible and find their deepest needs, their biggest problems, and solve them. He said, but you have to find the smallest one. You can't go to the biggest one. Because what happens is if you serve someone too big, you lose, right? Because you don't have a product for everyone. Mm-hmm. I mean, Apple doesn't have a product for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. Some people don't like Apple. They're a huge company. I think Apple's for everyone, but it's not. And they don't want it to be either. Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, same thing. Starbucks serves a very specific person. There's a reason why people pull in there and spend $8 on a latte. And there's a reason why people go to Dunkin' Donuts and spend $1.99 on a coffee. And they don't compete on purpose because they have two different pools. And so what he would say, Seth would say, is go find that pool and pour everything into it. And then hopefully people in that pool will go pour it into other pools and do the job for you. And so my advice and what I've been trying to really do with the event company is saying, okay, who am I exactly trying to serve and what are their biggest problems? And just start there. Like start there. And I think when you find that, like the response to them will be genuine. But you have to go deep, right? Mm-hmm. I think you can't just say, the wedding industry, so people need photos because they need memories. Great. But like, who are you serving? Are you serving budget-friendly people? Are you serving the high-end people that are like, hey, we want it to be so perfect that when people see it, they're like astonished. Like that's a group of people. And you can't serve both, right? Mm-hmm. But the beauty of that, I think, is that it allows you to be in the game longer. Because when you serve, let's just say the budget-friendly people, when you serve them, and not the high-end people. If someone high-end comes to you and says, I don't like your product, it's too cheap. Great. I'm not serving you.
Yeah, it's not
so it doesn't offend me. Now, if you're serving both, you're like, oh my gosh, like how can I need to create something better. And then the people that are on the budget end suffer. And so JCPenney did the same thing. So they're a discount store. And so when the new owner came in, he changed it to his view. He's like, I'm gonna serve everybody. Nobody wants discounts anymore. People just want good stuff. And so he did that, and their sales went down 50%, right? And so he did what I'm trying to say don't do is dial into a specific group of people and find out how you can solve their problems, and not solve their problems to make money, but solve their problems to serve them. Right.
Let's just say you found the smallest group. Like you found the people. Like for me, I think it's going to be podcasting. What do I do now?
Yeah. What do you do now? Yeah. Some people will think this is not enough, but I would find a way to love them well through your work. Mm-hmm. And I know that, I think if you think long enough on that answer, you'll find out that it's a pretty deep answer. And I think if that's not enough, I think that's even more of a reason why you should probably think about that answer. Because I think when you think of loving people, it turns into service, right? And you do your job better. Mm-hmm. And every job matters. If a doctor doesn't do well and find a way to love their clients, he'll cut short. One person will come in last minute, but his shift's over, so he goes home. He won't learn more because it's not a priority to love his clients. He won't update himself on new studies. The person, it's interesting. Like if I order a camera, the engineer who came up with the idea loved the audience that was going to use this. He's like, I got to make this better than anything they've ever had. I want the button to feel right. I want it to be placed right. I want them to feel good when they hold it. And then that goes down the line to the person who designed the machinery to make it. And they had to make it work well and fast and efficient so that people could get their product in a decent time.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about Sony's, right? Not Canon's?
Not Canon's, yeah. and then the person who boxes it, like they have to box it well, right? They have to put enough padding in it. They have to tape it right. And so why though? Just because that's their job? I don't think that's enough motivation. I think because they have to genuinely care for the people they're serving. And so when all those things work together, coming back to this community thing, you're a part of a community that thrives. Like we work for the community. Like Harrisonburg, we were talking about that in the beginning, the friendly city. Like when you go downtown, imagine starting to get bad coffee. If everybody was rude, like they just leave, right? Mm-hmm. And so the simple things I think are so important. One, I think it's just to love people. And two, do simple things well. I think that's like the biggest mistake people do is they have big visions and they go with it, which is not bad, but then they fail at the small things, like just customer service, like answer the phone. Don't get off too quick. Master a system that responds to emails well. I think the list can go on, but just do well at the simple things because the simple things are why businesses fail. 100%. Every business you look at fails because of the simple things. The Detroit, the automotive business, it was a flourishing business, right? And then when people stopped loving each other, what did they do? They went otherwhere because it started to fall a little bit, right? And so they moved manufacturing out of the state. And then knows I'm not staying here to be a part of this flourishing or fixing this. They all moved, and now look at it. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, if they would have said, "Okay, this is our city. How do we rebuild it? When things get rough, how do we stay, not run?" Right? But they were more interested in themselves. And now look at Detroit. It is definitely not the capital of manufacturing of automobiles. Mm-hmm. So I think love people well. Be genuinely interested in them, and then master just the simple things of the business.
Mm-hmm. What advice or what resources did you find that helps you master the simple things?
Yeah. So if you're a photographer or even just a creative in general, I think there's a guy named Jai Long. He's in Australia. He's got it's called the Business Map, and it basically just goes over like how to build a brand, how to market. He goes through everything. And that was huge for me, where it's like, oh, this is what it looks like to run a business and to run it well. And he really does focus on the simple things. As far as just like have an automated message that goes out when someone reaches out to you that says, hey, just want to let you know your email's safe in my inbox. I will respond in 24 hours. Talk soon. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, here's a link. Go ahead and book yourself in to make sure we talk about your vision for your wedding day. Mm-hmm. Those are just small things that if you don't do them, you lose business. Because while a person's waiting for you to respond to an email, what are they doing? They're looking around. But if you hook them right off the bat with the simple things, your business works well. People talk about it more. So I would say Jai Long is great at like implementing those things and just building a brand of like, who are you as a company? Who are you as a podcaster or a photographer or an engineer, whatever it is. I think he's great. And then, I mean, Seth Godin's amazing. I think, honestly, if you had just his book on marketing, or I don't know about the Tribe book, I haven't read that, but
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's one called This is Marketing, I think.
I read that one.
Yeah, I think.
He's got Purple Cow.
Yeah,
he's got Tribes.
Honestly, if you just read his things.
Yeah. I love the way he speaks. It's so simple.
It is. I mean, anytime you get over 1 million followers on a blog and you don't do any advertising, it's pretty amazing. You probably know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say just practice. Like jump in, take risks, try things that don't work. I think you can get caught up in replicating people's business ideas. And I don't think that's always the best. I think you are who you are for a reason. There's a reason why you want to start a business. And so if I was a photographer and I'm just going to do what this photographer does. It's like, well, great. Well, you're just another photographer.
Yeah. Give me those LUTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do something. I mean, seriously, do something remarkable. If you're like, hey, I want, whatever it is, if you're like, I want to expose the fact that intimacy is okay. Like, go big and do it. Practice it. Be too intimate. Be too honest. Pull back when you go too far. And just work it out. There's so much grace in making mistakes in a business.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that if your business is good, your mistakes aren't going to fail it. If you're constantly working to be who you are, be yourself, stand out.
And especially in the creative field, I just made a video about this. When I was in New York, I got to listen to Casey Neistat and Stephen Bartlett both talk. And one of the things that they hammered on is just experimenting. Like as a creative, if you're not always experimenting, you can't succeed without trying. Anyone that's ever done anything knows that you don't just start off successful. There's going to be a long list of failures that are going to get you to success, but you're not going to start off with that. So having the courage to try new things all the time and just tweak things a little bit here and there, I think that can take you really far.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I would rent my cameras and lenses when I first started doing photography.
Bold.
Yeah,
crazy.
I would rent everything. One time I sent the memory card back with the rentals, right after I photographed the wedding.
Oh, sorry. I thought you would rent your stuff out.
No,
I was like, that's crazy.
No, I would rent the camera.
Yeah, I see.
And so when I rented the camera, I sent the memory card back with the camera right after the wedding. And so that's when I learned that at the time I wouldn't put memory cards onto the hard drive right away.
Mm-hmm. So
now if I get home at 11 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter what time it is, I'm putting memory cards on the hard drive. And I don't rent stuff anymore, but it's just stuff like that you learn as you go.
Yeah. So business owners today cannot avoid AI. Is this something that you use in you talked a little bit about your automation workflow. Is AI something that you're paying attention to right now and something that you're using?
Yes and no. I mean, I use it, but probably not in the sense of what most creatives would use it for.
How do most creatives use it, and how would you use it?
I think a lot of creatives will use it for design, which is great. I just don't use it for that. I think some use it I think they use it to bypass the hard work that's required from you.
The thinking or the...
Yeah, and just making things you. They want it to be perfect, so they don't want to put in the work. So they ask a bot that somehow they think knows it all. And so I use it for a lot of things. I mean, I'll have, brand ideas and I'll put them all into, ChatGPT or whatever. I'm like, hey, based off, the market here in A, B, and C, here's my ideas. Help me dial this in more, right? Mm-hmm. What am I actually searching for? Or what are the needs here? And so it helps summarize things. I think there's, for me, that's kind of how I use it most. Or if I have an issue with a client, I'll write up an email.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask the AI system, hey, make this more reassuring that I have their best interest in mind. And so it's not writing a perfect email for me. It's just taking what I want to say and maybe just saying it a little bit better. Maybe, I'm just not good with English in that sense. And so it's no different than hiring somebody to do your copy on your website, right? Where it's hey, I want people to, here's my approach to wedding photography. Here's the story I want to tell. And here's how I want people to feel when I write. I can tell you all those things. I just can't do it, right? Like it's just not my gift. But there's people that are gifted in that. And so now we have AI systems that can help us with that. But I do want to be careful. I think sometimes we can rely only on those, and I think we rob people from their gifts. So I think if it lightens your workload and allows you to do the things you're good at, I think that's a really good approach with AI. If you're using it to bypass things you're good at just to do things quicker, I think you're robbing yourself and your community from your gifts.
What would you say to someone who doesn't know what their gifts are? Like they haven't figured out what makes them special.
Yeah.
How do you discover that?
I would say ask your friends, ask your family. What do you like about me? So this comes back to the vulnerability thing. It's a funny question, right? But like, what do you like about me? What am I good at? I'm just trying to figure out who I am. And I think you'll be surprised by what people say. I think, so for me, that's what I would do. I just noticed what people, like compliments they made. Like, hey, you're really good at this, or you're really good at that. And you just write them down. Like, just write them down on your notes on your phone. You're like, hey, like if you're struggling with that question, I think it's a good thing to write things down. Write it down. Okay, like this person said I was a good listener, right? Or this person said that I'm good at solving problems. And so the more you get those compliments, the more I think you can trust that that's probably a gift you have. And so what occupation is there that you love that this role plays itself out? And so I just think, ask the question, ask people and pay attention to what people say about you. And pay attention to the things people come to you for. Like if someone's always coming to you for advice, you probably have some gift of wisdom. Or if people are always sitting at your house late at night because they're struggling, you're probably good at encouraging, right? If someone's always calling you when their lawnmower breaks, like you're probably good at fixing things, right? And so either find a job that you're good at doing or be brave and start one.
When you think about 5 to 10 years down the road, what do you want people to say about the community that you're building and or the work that you're currently putting into the community?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably pretty obvious, but I just want people to say, Holden loved us well. They loved me well. I want the business to reflect that. And I don't think that's the best business strategy. I think it's probably more out of just my experiences growing up. But that's my hope is I want people just to feel like, hey, this business cared more about me than it did about itself. And so in 5-10 years, I hope that we get to a place to where the community is like, hey, like we know them and whoever books them is lucky. Not because they get a great product, but because they get a great product and they get treated well. Because I think that's ultimately what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be treated well. That's why we're afraid to spend too much money. Like that's the question we ask. Like, is this worth it? Is it too much money is not the problem. Anybody will spend a lot of money. The question is, what does it do for me? Is it going to do what you say it's going to do? And so if I can confidently say yes and then show up that way, that's what I want my business to reflect. I want people to talk about that.
So if somebody listening right now would want to join you on your mission of helping people feel seen, be heard, and loved, how can they get involved either as a vendor, as a client, or in any other type of way? Yeah,
go to church. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think, so two things I would say is, as far as like the event company, I have some ideas, and I think I haven't really gone public with them yet. But I think if you want to be involved in this, like reach out to me. Let's see how
Where's the best place to reach out to you?
You reach out on email, social media. My contacts all over social media and my website. So reach out on there if you want to. Let's talk about how we can do something together. If you're curious, just like, hey, what does it look like to love people well or to be human? We can talk about that. The second thing I would say is just pay attention. Like, just pay attention to people. The greatest gift you ever give anyone is your attention. And if you just give your attention to people, you'll see a lot of needs and you'll see a lot of ways to love people well, and that's in your job and outside your job. I don't think it's hard to find. I really don't. I think it's hard to see because we don't want to see it. Because if we see it, then we got to deal with it. And I think sometimes we're too selfish to want to do that. But I don't think it's as hard as what people think it is. I think you just got to pay attention.
Yeah. I do think there is this pressure to always be perfect and always be so put together in this world that I think that kind of ties into what you were talking about, businesses, and like it's hard to be vulnerable. It's not commonly accepted to like open up and like be so personal in your business. And that's one thing I really like about your approach, the way you do business. It's not impersonal. It's very personal.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, I used to feel this way, but like I always ask the question, like, why are we so afraid to ask questions and be personal? Like, I don't understand that. Like, you go to the business world, and it's like you got to talk a certain way, act a certain way. And dude, I had those fears. Like, I remember like going to these conferences, like sales conferences, and I remember having like a mini identity crisis. I'm like, can I wear Nikes? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can I do that? Like, can I wear my Jordan? Because what I would do is I would go to these. I would dress up really nice, and I love dressing up, so it didn't bother me. But I got confused because I was like, I'd dress up, and then I'd go back to the hotel. I'd throw on my Jordans, put on my hip hop, and I'm like, who am I?
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, because I just like left this conversation with somebody. I'm like, from a business standpoint, you know, it's like, which isn't bad. I've learned that there's a way to do business in different places. Like the way I act in photography is different than a lawyer is going to act in a courtroom,
right?
And so, yeah, but I think we still, I think there's still a line that we can cross.
Can you imagine
like,
your lawyer showing up in Jordans?
Yeah, bro.
You're like, man, I'm cooked.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you'd be a little doubtful. But I think there's a line in every occupation that we should feel better crossing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it exists. I mean, go ahead.
I would argue that you would get a lot further just being yourself and showing up the way that you want to show up and the way that you authentically do show up.
Yeah.
Like, you're not fooling anyone with a suit. You know what I mean? Like, people can tell that you feel uncomfortable in it. And if you feel more comfortable in what you're wearing, I think that's, as long as it's appropriate for the setting, I think you'll get a lot more further. And then other people might resonate with that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're looking for other people that are just like us. And we're looking for someone that likes the same football team that we do, or that like something that we can personally be attracted to. So I think that whenever you show who you are and just authentically show up as yourself, that you'll get a lot further than when you try to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, would you say we're looking for people who,
I don't know, I was off the dome.
Yeah,
it's not coming back.
It was fire, bro.
No. I think we're looking for people who we want to see ourselves in them, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, I know I like, hip hop clothing or whatever. And I want to talk to someone else who also likes that, because it'll be easier for me to connect with them. And ultimately, I think we're all just looking for connection. Yeah. And some things make it easier.
Yeah. See, even that's just like such a beautiful marketing approach. Like, that's what they're looking for. Like, you hit it right on the head of the nail. Like, they're saying, like, do you see what I see? Like, do you see my needs?
Yeah. Or do you see the world the same way as I do?
Like
I'm not so buttoned up myself.
Right,
so like, maybe I do want a photographer that looks a little different.
Yeah. It's funny. I've had people criticize me for wearing my Beatles, like my vintage Beatles shirt to like these weddings.
Uh-huh.
And like, dude, you can't wear that. I'm like, dude, I can.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And I have a friend who is an amazing photographer, and he dresses up when he goes to weddings. But it's his brand. Like, it fits him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he shows up for his clients. And we're just different in that way. And but sometimes I'm like, I think of him, I'm like, man, maybe I should dress up a little bit more,
No, I think you're attracting who you want to attract.
Yeah.
I think that what you wear, fashion, is extremely important to your brand. It's the fastest way that you can signal to someone what you stand for, how you want to be perceived. I think everything is marketing. I think what you wear is marketing. Sure, I think, and like, the thing is, you want to be recognizable. Like we talked about standing out earlier. I think you want to stand out. I think blending in and fitting in with everyone else and not being able to differentiate yourself is like terrible. I've personally have always liked standing out. It's just always been something that I just like, I don't want to be just like everyone else. Like, I know I'm different. I just want to show other people. And a lot of times what you wear, your silhouette, all those things, like, play a role. And I think a lot of people feel not like uncomfortable with fashion, or not that many people are well versed
in fashion at all,
like in fashion, or like they don't know what to wear that they feel comfortable in, that complements their body, their shape, all that stuff. I think that's rare, and it just shows taste. And if you have taste, I think that's one of the fastest ways that you can actually show it is by what you wear. And it's something that I'm working on. I used to be so bad. I used to wear the worst stuff because I just didn't understand. But now it's all neutral tone, earth tones.
Fresh now, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's something I'm working on because I do think it's really important. And like I said, it signals to everyone. Like you choose what you wear. You choose how you want to come off into the world.
Yeah. It's true. Like when you record a video for your business, like I think Jai Long guy was really good at this. So he's in Australia.
Sounds like he recorded on a surfboard.
Well, he's like, I mean, he was so intense. So he had like this 80s haircut. He had like 80s clothes. His whole entire setup, like the video, the props, the background, it all looked like, this is who this guy is.
Yeah.
And it was 100%.
And it makes you like them more.
Yeah.
Because you know that they're not hiding anything.
Or, that's them, I think if I was going to try to be someone who's like, I used to struggle with this where I go to, in my sales job where you meet people that are in sales, and it's really hard because usually those people are like super loud, outgoing.
Yeah.
They talk all day. They maybe have like a pretty loud voice. And so I'm totally opposite. I'm more reserved. I can be an extrovert, but when it comes down to it, like if I'm usually getting on the plane, it's like, hey, don't talk to me. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm gonna talk to somebody, but I think the temptation is to be like them, right? Because that's what you do. And I used to struggle with that. I'm like, man, like maybe this sales isn't for me. Like business isn't, like the business life is not for me because I don't have a super loud voice and I'm not super loud and outgoing. I don't fill the room when I walk in. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. He used to be he was the CEO of RMH. And he asked me, so what's your view on a businessman? And I'm like, I remember thinking about it. I'm like, he's like, I think you have the wrong view of what a businessman is. He said, pray about it and ask the Lord, like, what is a businessman? And because in my mind, I guess I was just like somehow from, I guess, just nature, nurture, whatever, I just grew up thinking a businessman wore dress shoes, dress pants, tie, and was always serious, didn't laugh, didn't have empathy. Like it was just like, hey, we're here to do business.
Yeah. Soulless.
Yeah. And then I'd realize like, oh, like my personality is made for this moment. Like it's made for this group of people. It's just different. And so I just found ways to fit that in. I mean, some of the things I would say is like, who would miss out if I didn't show up? Like that was one of the ways, like who would miss out if my soft demeanor wasn't present? Like, would somebody not have a break from hearing somebody yell? Would they not get someone who actually genuinely cares about them? And like, so that's important to like ask those questions. Like, I mean, I love when I meet people that are loud, but I also love when I meet people that are quiet. It's kind of like, man, we can chill, like you're not up here all the time. And both are great. Both have a place. And I would say even in the same place, but I don't think one is meant for one and the other for another.
What do you see a businessman as now?
I see a businessman as someone who solves people's problems with a genuine care. So not just to make money. I think a businessman is someone who says, what problems do people have and how can I bless them by solving them? And so how that plays out, I think it's different for everybody.
How do you balance not being a people pleaser with like this approach that you're talking about, solving people's problems and genuinely caring, going above and beyond? There are some people that struggle with like people pleasing and will get taken advantage of and walked all over, and they won't be able to run a successful business. How do you balance that? And is this something that you struggle with?
No, I can. I go in and out of seasons. I mean, unfortunately, if you want to be a good businessman, you're going to be taken advantage of. Like it's just what it is. Like if you're serving people are going to take advantage of you. I think you got to be okay with that. And you have to not take it personal. But I think you do have to draw a line sometimes. I think there is, I think you don't know that until you get in it. I don't think there's a blueprint for that. But I think sometimes, you're going to be taken advantage of. someone's going to use your softness and your kindness to their advantage. And that's just what it is. I've had it happen. But at the end of the day, like, I go to bed knowing I was kind. You go to bed knowing you weren't kind. And so I think it comes down to, like, just what heart do you want to sleep with? And so, but I think there is a place when you do have to say, I think you can be stern. I think you can be stern and loving at the same time. I think how you say it matters, but I've had clients get upset because they didn't put the right shot list for family photos over to. I've always asked for it because I want to make sure I get everything you want, not just what I think looks great, in a sense of family photos. And they didn't put some in there, and at the end they're like, the mom was like, "Hey, like, this was like really big for us, right?" And I remember telling them, like, I'm so sorry that happened. Like, this is why I asked for the list. I just want to make sure I get everything. Sorry it wasn't on there. And so I had offered to pay a professional, Photoshop guy to Photoshop it in. But this had happened before with people, but I just said I'll pay half. Like, I don't need to pay the full amount, right? So, like, in that position, I think it's okay to just give enough. You don't always have to give more. And so I think in that position, I was tempted to say, I'll just pay for it all. No big deal. Like, it wasn't my fault. Like, I don't need to pay for
there's
stuff.
responsibility.
Yeah. Like, if I just pay for that, I mean, maybe their other daughter gets married and they don't think about it again. But now they'll probably think about it because they had to pay half of it. And, like, I'm not in control of all that, right? But I think it's just like, hey, take responsibility for what's your fault. Take responsibility for your work. Don't give away too much, because I've done this where it's like free photo shoots, free this, right? People take advantage of you and they're like, "Hey, I saw my friend had a free photo shoot. Are you still doing that?" It's like, "No, sorry, that's over." But I think you have to realize that what you give away too and how much you give up is how you show up. So if you're just constantly being trampled,
Right.
you're going to show up like someone who gets trampled. It's just the way the mind works. I don't know why.
No, for sure.
Yeah, but like, it's like if you're always giving discounts, you're going to be a discount photographer.
That's another thing I want to ask you about. So a lot of times you'll see, like, people always want a freebie. How do you balance that as a photographer or someone doing creative services?
Yeah, I actually don't run into it that much, honestly. Like, I just say, here's where my price starts. And so I just don't go below. I don't have people ask for discounts unless it's like, I've had people say, "Hey, looking to get a mini session done." And so I just tell them, like, "Hey, that sounds amazing. Fortunately, I'm not doing any mini sessions right now, but if you want to talk about a full session, we could set up a call and we could talk about what that looks like and how we could create your vision." And some of them are like, "Okay, thanks, bye," And then some are like, "Okay," and then you get to not sell them on the idea, but you get to show them that, hey, I'm worth $500 for a family session, and then they're like, "Oh, like, I'm paying for something. I'm not buying something because it's cheap." And so I just tell people, like, "Hey, if you're gonna," I've had clients ask, like, "Oh, it's a little out of my price range." I say that. They say that all the time. And so I've just come up with different sayings. Like, I'll tell them, like, "Hey, I understand that so much, and here's why I price what I price. Here's why maybe I would just take some time to think about it, because when I go to H&M and I buy a T-shirt, I'm like stoked. I'm like, do I get this sick shirt? It was like $8,
Yeah.
I go home and I wash it. It didn't fit me anymore, right? It's like small, right? Or it's faded. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so annoying, right? And so I tell them, like, hey, that's how it is when you try to buy the cheapest thing. And so I don't want to give you the cheapest thing. I don't want you to buy the cheapest thing.
Yeah.
And so I charge, whatever I do because I'm offering what I think is the best. And so if it's your wedding day, let's talk about how we can find that money. And then sometimes they don't, but sometimes, like, okay, now they see the investment's worth it, because before they just don't know. They don't know that you're worth spending the money on. That's why they ask for discounts, because they're like, hey, I'm afraid you're not going to do what you say you're going to do. And so I think that's two issues. They just don't know it, and you got to have time to give it. Or it's a brand issue, and your brand's not clear enough on its offer, which I think could be a problem too.
Brand is an interesting thing that you touched on.
Yeah.
When you say your brand's not clear, what's that mean? Does that mean your aesthetic isn't cohesive?
Yeah. No, I think when you think of brand, like, I think your logo is a part of your brand.
Define brand.
Brand, I think I would simply say is who you are as a company and why you're worth what you say you're worth. Like, that's how I view a brand. And so who you are, in a sense, like, it's the colors you use, it's the way you approach business. I think for me, like, there's storytelling, there's documentary, there's cinematic, then there's what's the one that's like a magazine? I can't even think of the name of it. But anyways, there's all these different ways of approaching photography, but in all that is also a brand. There's more to that than just how you photograph weddings or your logo. Those all play a part in it. So, like, for me, on my website, like, part of my brand is that I'm creating something that does more than just a photo, right? And so I got to talk about that. Like, what makes that possible? Like, what makes that true? And so the whole process of your brand is important because they experience it in different levels. Your brand's experience when they see your logo. Then it's experience when they view your photos. And then it's experience when they hear about you. Then there's an experience when they land on your website. And then when they submit, I think there's an experience after that. And people miss that. So it's like, oh, thank you. You just made a thank you page. That's a part of your brand. It just means that you're kind of boring. Thank you. But if you're like, hey, sometimes what I do is when they fill out a thank you page is to have a video pop up, right? Like, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm super excited to hear more about your vision, what you have in store for your wedding, and to share a little bit about my approach. I hope it aligns. But I want to let you know that you and me are going to talk about this, and we're going to make this beautiful. And I'm super excited, probably more excited than you are. Can't wait to talk. Right. And so what that tells them about my brand is that I'm engaged. That I'm coming to their wedding with the same energy that they have, and they want to know that. And so immediately you have two options when people submit on your webpage to think about your brand. They say, okay, they're busy and they'll get back to me, or they're super engaged with the fact that I might not know exactly when they get back with me, but they're going to let me know when it's going to be, and it's going to be quick. It's part of your brand. Are you responsive? Are you quick? Are you slow?
Yeah.
Are you creative? Are you, what? I mean, it goes beyond just a logo, which I think some people think, oh, it's my logo. Honestly, I don't think anybody cares about your logo.
Yeah.
If you look at the Buc-ee's logo, like, what is it, a beaver?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like, and they're huge. Like, it works. But I can tell you right now, if you would have brought that to me or any, like, professional designer and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a $1 billion business. And it's the beaver.
Catch this.
They'd be like, well, let's talk about what the beaver means, And so, like, I think the logo is small. I think it's important, but I think it's small if that's all it is. I think so. I think it's important for sure, but I don't think it's the big picture. Who are you? Like, why am I going to go to your page? That's your brand.
One of the things that the way I define brand is an irrational emotional connection to someone or to something that you would be sad if it was gone. So, like, it's something that's hard to explain. It's like your reputation, it's all the things, but really it's the emotional connection that people have to you. And one of the things that you told me when we were talking earlier was how your unique approach when it comes to writing captions for your photos.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. It's not all my captions, but
some of them.
Yeah, I do. I told you I want people to cry when they read them, which sounds bad.
No, it sounds great.
Like,
you want them to feel so seen.
Yeah,
that it brings them to tears.
Yeah, and I want them to experience the photo like it's a story, right? So when they like, this sounds funny, but when you like swipe through the photos, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, when they're swiping, this is about how long they're probably gonna look at photo, and I want this part of the song to meet them here, right? And so it feels intense to do all that, but I think it's a part of it. Like, especially when you're sharing people's stuff on, like, to the public, it needs to be amazing. because it's them, right? You're sharing a part of them that's vulnerable and important. And so, yeah, I think it's tempting to be like, hey, shot a cool wedding this weekend. Thanks to the team for making it happen. Great. You shouted out some friends. But where's the client? It's like the photos are really about the client. And so I want to make them about the client. I don't want to make them about me getting more likes or more followers or getting shout outs to other people. I don't think it's bad, but I think first the client should be your interest. So when I'm writing to a client, my question is, if I was going to write you something when I send you these photos, what would it be that I would say about you? I'm like, I just want to let you know, like, I noticed that you were so kind and like you were just so in tune or you were so loving. And so I'll take those thoughts and then I'll just put them into just like a miniature story. And then I'll put that out so that when they read it, they can kind of visually remember the moments. But then like internally and emotionally, they can feel them. And so I think there's one thing that's really powerful about memories. And I've learned this through bad memories, but I think it applies to both. You can't heal bad memories with good words. You have to heal them with new memories, right? And so I think it's the same way where like you have a memory you remember that's good, right? It's hard to remember that completely with just words. Like if I said, you remember we went to the beach? Yeah. You remember at the beach and it was sunny and it was raining? You remember feeling those raindrops on your shoulder when we were running out there and your shirt was sticking to your chest because it was so hot and humid? Then you start to visualize it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the purpose of, it's how copywriting became a thing. It's like, like you can put yourself in it. So imagine if you could do both, the copywriting in a sense that made you visualize it, and then you had the ability to actually visualize it. You get an insane mind connection.
Yeah.
And so
my favorite quote is, words create worlds.
Yeah, they do. And so I just love that aspect of when I do that, usually the client will respond like, thank you so much for what you wrote. Like these are amazing. We're so happy we booked you. And so I do that because I love the client, but it's just another way too. Like it's if it's part of your brand to love and serve people, like do it everywhere. Do it everywhere. Do it in your captions, do it in your emails, do it when you talk about them. I've made the mistake of talking bad about people, and it's horrible.
Dude, I made the mistake of talking bad about someone.
Yeah.
And like 20 minutes in, I find out they're right behind me at a restaurant. I said never again.
Have you ever done the one where you leave your phone on, you don't hang up, and you
Oh, no, I haven't done that. It's a crazy fast turnaround time.
There's that moron called me again. Oh my gosh, you turn it off.
Okay, so this episode is brought to you by the Friendly City Shop. If you want to support this podcast, head over to friendlycity.shop and pick up some merch to support this podcast. I still haven't put in any orders, but I'd love to get an idea of how many of you are interested so that I can keep doing this thing that I love.
Yeah.
What role would you say that social media has played in your business as a photographer?
I hate social media.
Tell me more about this, because I know photographers have a very interesting relationship with social media.
Yeah.
Because it's like a way to display your work. I would argue social media is more important than your website. Although your website is the place where you can control the customer experience, the user journey the most. I think social media is more important because that's just how you can create a beautiful website, but no one's going to come visit it.
Yeah.
Unless you're like killer at SEO, you're paying for ads.
Yeah.
And we can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think social media is extremely important. I'm just curious, what role has it played for you? Because I know with a lot of photographers, they got into this because they love photography. But social media has become such a different game now. It's not just photography. I mean, it's mostly video these days. But I mean, there's a lot. It's a whole world that photographers have just found themselves in. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think video dominates 100%. And I've noticed that just in like metrics, like you'll see when you post photos, you just don't get as many views on it as you do a video.
Well, it increases watch time. That's all the platforms want. They just want watch time.
And actually,
but
I get it. Like
I
love videos.
I'm a huge fan of video. I think it's the best format to really show who you are.
Oh, 100%.
Because I think photos are great for memories because you can just really jog something in you and make you feel something. But with videos, it's like the best representation of who you actually are. How you have your voice, your tone, how you come off, your face, your expressions, micro expressions, all that can be captured, and it just really shows the essence of who you are. So I'm a huge fan of videos. I think what you said about like putting a video on the thank you page, and just showing how like excited you are. Like all sales is just a transfer of enthusiasm.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how enthusiastic are you? Like if you give off the energy that you're more pumped than they are to show up at their wedding and take photos, like that's just going to be a positive experience for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of video. That's why I'm doing a video podcast. That's why I like making shorts. But it is something that photographers have had to struggle with because, like you said, photographs don't get nearly as much engagement.
Yeah, yeah. I love video. Every time I watch like a good videographer, like a really good one, I'm like, I'm not doing photos anymore. Like photos do nothing, you know. And it's true because you do experience more of them. And I think that's why the thank you page works, because like they get to know you in a sense. They experience you as a person before they even meet you, which is great. I hate video because it takes too much time to edit. But I think it's important. I do think it's important. As a photographer, I don't think it's as important. I think we can get caught up in the, what does Instagram want from me? And I just don't think that's a good battle because it's always changing. I mean, they recently did that whole thing with the aspect of the photos, and now like thousands of photographers have blurry photos all over their feed now because of the way they change stuff. And it's like you just can't keep up, right? And so for me, and maybe this is wrong, I don't know. I'm horrible at social media. For me, it's more of just like definitely all my updated work's on there. I don't update my website as much. So I would say for me, it's more of just a place for people to say, oh, you still exist and this is what you're up to. So maybe I don't know that discovery comes from there that much, but it's more for people just to follow along with like what I'm doing. And it's a great way for me to like keep people updated. Like, hey, here's your friends that are getting photographed. Here's this new approach I have. And I'm even bad at that. Just like, I think it's important to get on a video and be like, hey, I was just thinking about how I could, serve you guys better. And here's some ideas I have. Love to know your thoughts in the comments. And I just don't do that, and I probably should. So I'm probably the worst person to ask about social media because I'm really bad at it.
I would love to see more videos from you on social media.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's good to pay somebody to do it for you if you're bad at it. Yeah.
I don't think you're bad at it.
Yeah, thanks.
I think we just want to see more of you.
Yeah.
But it is hard, especially when you're trying to curate an aesthetic and, do all the other things that a lot of photographers try to do.
Yeah, I've seen some, they go pretty big with it. Like their whole grid, like connects in a sense of like, like each photo has a purpose of where it lands. So I'm not getting into all that.
How do you see it? How do you see your backyard events company growing? Do you see social media as being a driving force there, or do you just see like word of mouth?
Yeah, way more on that side of things. I think word of mouth is my hope, but I think like I really am trying to target people that are maybe not more prone to spend a lot of money on a wedding, but still want something beautiful. I'm definitely trying to target them. So I need to post. I've been wanting to post more on just like, hey, what does it look like to have a budget wedding and make it great? And so I should be creating creative reels and photos on like, hey, here's some ideas if you don't want to drop, $2,000 on whatever.
There's 5 things you can do to save money on your wedding.
Yeah. But it's hard for me because I'm anxious to like get more wedding photos from the stuff we rent now. And so I'm like, I don't want to share any of that. I want to share the stuff I love. But I got to remember my audience has more desires than just rentals. Like they're trying to save money. They want to. And that's not just poor people. It's rich people. There's rich people like, hey, I don't want to spend way too much. If we can make our own flowers, let's make our own flowers,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to. I just haven't had the time, with it being more of a startup still. But I think social media will flourish more for that business than the photography business.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. What's anytime you have a race to the bottom with money, you
have a what?
Like a race to the bottom in terms of money. Like whenever someone's looking for the cheapest, whatever. Usually people would say that's a bad customer.
Yeah.
Because then at that point you become a commodity instead of a brand.
Yeah.
Because if something doesn't have a brand, it's just a commodity.
Yeah.
Meaning if there's no difference between me and you're just gonna go with the lowest price.
Yeah.
How do you think about that? A lot of people would say that's a terrible demographic to go for, or just to like optimize based on price. I think what you're doing is extremely noble and very much needed. But how do you balance thinking of having a brand, I guess, and not just being known for the cheapest? Because someone could, I guess, start up and be the next cheapest person next to you, and then there goes your clientele.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think your brand, like, if I had to answer the question of what your brand is, I think it's someone who cares, who listens, who loves, who serves.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that while still charging what makes sense. I mean, you could do that while charging extreme premium too. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I guess my question is, whenever you're going after the cheapest, or you're not even going after the cheapest, you're just trying to give people, you're trying to meet them where they are.
Yeah,
which I think is slightly different.
Yeah, so I laugh because I've thought about this.
Okay.
I'm like,
what are your thoughts?
Well, I've thought like, okay, if I do the cheapest, like people are gonna trash stuff because they just don't care.
Right.
And then I'm like, but if I go to the cheapest, like they're just gonna shop prices, and then I'm gonna, But I really don't care. Like I think the difference. I would say there's one difference. I'm not gonna do everything cheap. I'm gonna have stuff that
like staples maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to have stuff that people can't get cheap for cheap. But I think the difference between me too is the cheap stuff I have is not going to be cheap stuff in a sense of like product. And so like the chairs that we rent out.
Tell me the story about the chair.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I call it our $5 chair. And it's really, it's a marketing strategy in a sense. Like it's basically saying, hey, come rent with us, right? Like this is my way of drawing people in. But when I say marketing, it's me solving a problem. So it's not me trying to like trick somebody. But it's a marketing strategy in that way where it's like, hey, we have a $5 chair, come rent with us. And so when they come, we solve their second problem. Okay, we got a chair for super cheap, great. But now we need all this other stuff. Well, where are you going to go? Well, we don't want to go through 5 different vendors. So like most of those people are like throwing a backyard event, or they're throwing an indoor event and just want to update chairs. It's great. But if they're throwing like a backyard wedding, they're going to say, well, we also need a tent for rain. We also need plates, flatware, all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of offer all that. So instead of just doing, like most tent rentals is just like, we do just tents. Or we do just like China, flatware, and we do have 1,000 different options. We've kind of taken the basic and said, okay, here's what is really beautiful. So we do real plates, real flatware, real cups. And so when they come in for that $5 chair, they have everything else that they need as well. So we've kind of directed them through the chair into our business where the rest of the problems can also be solved. And so in a way, we're helping them escape high prices. We're also helping them escape bad customer service. And we're also helping them escape multiple vendor interactions. And so we're not just taking advantage of them in a sense of like, we're trying to draw you in and make you buy all of our stuff. We're genuinely solving your problem. And I think we can do it better than they can. And for 2 reasons. One, because I think we genuinely care about you. We want to make this day amazing, right? And 2, we don't have cheap stuff. Like we're buying really nice stuff. And we have protection written up in our contract. Like, hey, like you get fined if you break our stuff, right? But take care of it. And so, I have a bar being made. It's actually a 2-piece bar, or 2 different options you can build out of it. A smaller one and a bigger one. But like it's not just a cheap bar you throw at a wedding. Like this is a bar you'll see in like high-end DC Richmond weddings. And so it's completely custom made by a local woodworker. And it's about a $4,000 bar that we're spending about $4,000 on this bar. And it's like, could we sell a little dinky bar with, barrels and a wooden like door on top? Like, yeah, you could, and people would use it. But I'm like, I look at these wedding inspo photos. I'm like, you see these like big, huge, like 10-foot, 12-foot bars, right? Where it's like, you can do so much with them. It's a staple piece. But to rent them, you're spending $1,200.
Mhm.
So I'm like, what if we got a custom bar built that was better than that, and we rented it for cheaper? So I'm not just trying to be the cheapest and steal the business. This is the thing about marketing that people don't understand is that people buy expensive stuff just because it's expensive. They don't, like a Coach purse is not that nice. Like, it's really not.
Yeah, you're just paying for the brand.
It's because it's a Coach and they don't care, right? They're like, I want the Coach. I don't care how much it costs. And so they would see me as like, I don't care what he's got. I'll spend an extra $1,000 over here just because when people come to my wedding, they're like, oh, where'd you get your bar? Oh, we got it from this place, and that's great. Like, there's a market for that. So I don't want to be the cheapest person, but I do want to be someone who sees that the wedding industry needs vendors who care and who have stuff that doesn't push people into categories, where it's like, you get this because you have money and you don't because you don't have money.
I see.
And so I want people to have that middle ground where it's like, hey, like, one thing that we should all have, regardless of how much money we have, is a beautiful wedding. And it doesn't have to be big to do it. Like, throw a beautiful bar, nice chairs, round tables. And by working with us, like, you save money, right? You save money throwing a backyard wedding and renting from us, which allows you to go splurge on the things that actually matter, like good food. Like, go buy lobster for your wedding now. Go, like, if florals are important to you, go splurge on someone that makes really beautiful florals that when they show up to your wedding, they're like, oh my gosh. Like, now you can do that, right? Where before you couldn't because you spent too much on chairs, too much on linens, too much on china, too much on a venue. And now you're in debt. You're worried that you can't buy your first house, or your parents spent it and now they're kind of upset about it and hanging over your head for the rest of your life. Like let's slow it down. And competition.
Bring it back to what it was meant to be. That's something that you said on your website, I think, that weddings are meant to be like intimate backyard affairs, and you kind of want to bring that back.
It's a celebration, not a competition. And I think people have turned it into a competition before they celebrate. And I just don't think, I think it's really hard to celebrate when you have that much debt over your head. Or you just have like that much competition over your head. Like, you're throwing a wedding for your friend. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to go home, big wedding, big deal. But you didn't have what you wanted. Like, you didn't really want those colors. Your mom did, because your mom's competing with Lacey's mom, you know? And so, like, when you bring everything down, like, it's less competition and people are just more prone to like let you do what you want. Like, it's kind of like this idea, like, all right, well, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, then whatever you want to do is fine then. It's like, great, And I don't think that's always going to happen, but I think it allows people to have a beautiful wedding and actually celebrate with people they love, do things they love. I think something special happens around a table. And I think if I go to a wedding, what do you remember? Like, when you leave a wedding, you remember the people you talked to and the food you ate. Like, that's what you remember every time. And so if you can go to a wedding where people are actually joyful and food actually tastes good, like, I don't know. I just think it's amazing. Every time I go to a city, like, where'd you guys eat? It's always around. I think that's by design. Ecclesiastes, I've been learning that right now, where it's just like, hey, everything's going to fail no matter what you do. Even when you do it right, things are going to fall apart, right? At the end of the day, we all die, right? And so, but it says it's all vanity. That's what it says. But at the end of throughout the Ecclesiastes, it does say, but I do know this: eat and drink and rejoice. It's like, it's basically at the end of the day, just eat good food, drink good wine, and hang out with people you love, because those things are eternal.
I love that.
So,
perfect segue for my speed round at the end I was thinking about, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. All right. Speaking of eating good food,
wait. Speed round. I gotta go quick.
Yeah. All right. Favorite breakfast place in Harrisonburg?
Heritage Bakery, 100%.
Okay. Favorite taco spot?
Taco spot?
Yeah.
It's next to Hardee's. I don't know what it's called. They have a
Tacos El Primo.
Yeah, dude. So good.
That's my boy's restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Favorite Asian place?
I'm not big on Asian food, but I would. Well, see, I gotta be careful because I don't know if this is Asian, but it's next. It's next to Costco. I don't think it's Asian. Oriental Cafe.
Oriental Cafe? That's Asian.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Oreo Cafe. They had this beef and tofu dish that is like way too spicy. It's so good. I hate tofu, but dude, I swallow it. So, anyways.
Okay, and then favorite Mexican restaurant.
Oh, don't judge me. It's El Charo, bro. It's not even Mexican.
All right, best place to go out at night.
I would say Bella Luna, 100%. It's my favorite.
Bella Luna?
I would eat there every night.
That's good. That's good. Am I missing? Do I need to add anything else to my speed round?
No.
I was just thinking, the thing that I think is super underrated about Harrisonburg is the food.
Yeah,
Gosh,
yeah.
I love the food here. I'll travel to different cities all the time. I'll eat something. I'm like, man, Harrisonburg's better.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Cuban burger's so good too.
Oh yeah, favorite burger spot.
Yeah,
Cuban.
I mean, all their beef's like locally sourced and comes from a
Crazy
farm
to
line.
not say Jack Brown's.
It's like I'm not bashing Jack Brown's. I think they have a great. My wife loves their burgers. I do too, but it's just a burger, bro. Like it's just a burger with a bunch of weird stuff.
All right, overrated or underrated? Sweet potato fries.
Underrated.
Okay. Overrated or underrated? Peanut butter.
Overrated. So gross, bro. Especially those people who eat it with a spoon. Oh my god, is that you?
No comment.
Okay.
But did you know that peanut butter has a certain percentage of insects in it?
Oh, I imagine.
It's disgusting.
I don't think they make it out alive. That stuff's sticky, bro.
All right, I think that's all that I got. If you think of any good questions that I should ask at the end of the pods, let me know.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you. And if people want to connect with you, where's the best place for them to reach out?
Yeah, reach out on my website on holdenandersonphoto.com or Backyard Event Co.
Right. And we'll also have it linked at the bottom of the show.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.
Thanks.